Mr. Shadid, Toronto's one and only 10x developer.
I'm zero X developer. I don't even know anything.
How's
I don't know
it going,
nothing,
man? It's been a
man.
while.
Yes, going well, man. It's not as well as I would like it to be, but it is all right.
How well would you like it to be?
I would like it to be very well, very stressless, and not there yet.
All right, all right. What are you up to now? You back in Canada or are you abroad still?
I was in Quebec City. I just came back for a couple weeks in Toronto.
Okay.
Yeah,
What'd you do in
yeah,
Quebec? Just like mini vacation?
yeah. Just a lot of history and stuff. So it's just like visiting. Yeah, I took my girl there. Yeah, it was good. It was good. Nice, culture sightseeing. They got a lot of nice churches, and
Oh
I
yeah.
think that yeah, the basilica there is actually older than Canada. It's from
Oh
fun
wow.
fact. Yeah, it's from like 16 something. So it's from the time of New France, and it's amazing. Like the craftsmanship is amazing. And just looking at that, and I was like, this is what people were doing in 16th century and 17th century, and nowadays we can't even put together a JavaScript app.
I know. Yo, that was like
Yeah,
stone masonry and all that kind of stuff, right? With a freaking chisel and a block. You fucking take some piece of stone, turn it into like some work of art, you know?
yeah, and then they got a ton of those, like stone art, brass, gold, like they molded
Metalworking,
gold.
yeah. They used to
Yeah,
have
it's
like, yo, they used to have blacksmiths, like straight up just hammering steel and shit. Like,
yeah,
that was like the good old days, man. Now we got like fucking laser cut metal. We just put it on a
yeah,
freaking sharpening, like a polisher or some sort of sand machine, and that'll sharpen it for you. But like before, it would be like, yeah, they just bang out metal with a hammer. It's like that
yeah.
in a fucking furnace, bro.
Yeah, dude, like I feel like the engineering of these things are like so impressive, like so ahead of its time. And mind you, like they also built this on a rush because the French Canadians, they were constantly on the threat from the British, like always attacking them.
Yeah.
So they built it on top of the hill. So it's also like a fortification, and the architecture, it's really amazing, like if you think about it. It gives you a different perspective in engineering.
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
I try to like draw from any like sort of art or visual, like, and try to apply it to engineering. Like for me, like for spare time, I like doing like boxing, kickboxing, and stuff like that. It's like there's a direct consequence for. I always say this is like direct consequence for not making decisions fast enough. You just get slapped or you get fucking kicked or some shit. You know.
Yeah.
So it's like
Yeah. You gotta be
everything you
sharp.
kind of take and like pull it to your craft in a bit. You know.
Yeah, you gotta be sharp. You gotta think on your toes, otherwise you get knocked up.
You
Yeah.
get knocked out, knocked up.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
OTP.
Yeah. Huh?
OTP.
Yeah.
Are you
I
still
I
are you still
what?
building apps?
Yeah, I do still build apps. I kind of so English is not my first language. That's why I mess up the preposition a lot.
What's your
Knocked
first
out. Not
language?
my first language is Bengali.
So isn't
So
that basically like Hindi? It's really
no,
similar.
no,
It's
don't.
similar, bro. It's so similar, isn't
It is
it?
very similar. It is very similar. We can uh, I can talk to any other person who speaks like Hindi or Punjabi, and then I can understand them. They can understand us. But it's kind of like Spanish and French.
Or like Spanish and Portuguese or some shit. You know, it's like close but not quite.
Close but not quite. Yes, yes,
Interesting. So
yeah.
you're with. I saw you using Fauna for one of your recent apps. Like, what's that about?
Yeah, so Fauna is a globally distributed database. It is a NoSQL database, which is a fancy way of saying it's a NoSQL database, but with all the relational capabilities of the SQL database, RDBMS. Um, yeah, so yeah, it's distributed by nature, pretty good developer experience. We got some way to go, but still, trying to regular.
Like, if a guy was in uni right now, I know like you had a unique experience in uni. You want to walk through that real quick? Like how
Yeah,
you started
so
and where you ended up?
yeah, so I went to UIT, and then I was building this app for investment tracking. It was just like kind of like Reddit, but for investment bros or investment students. So kind of like Blossom. If you have used the Blossom app,
I
they
haven't
do the
used
same
Blossom.
thing.
What's that?
Yeah. So Blossom app is you can share your portfolio of holdings and in the
Nice.
stock market and share it with other people, and people will comment.
Oh, it's like that
And
trade tracker, right? You could just like pick your favorite like person that does trades, and you just follow what they do.
yes, yes. So I kind of created a primitive
Okay.
version of Blossom back in 2013. I used Ruby on Rails because that's when I was trying to get into web development.
Why Ruby?
And why Ruby?
Yeah, why not like JS, just like everyone else? Like,
JS was not. Node was very new. In 2011, 2012, I think JS is not a production ready stack,
I
in my
see.
opinion.
I
Yeah.
met you in like 2014, right? Like back when we
Yeah.
first started UIT.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
Ontario
yeah.
Tech.
It's been a while,
That's
man. Now it's Ontario fucking Tech, dude. Like
yes.
they called it fucking UOIT first, and everyone's like, "Oh, you go to UFT?" Nah, bro, UOIT. Oh, UFT, UFT. Okay, fucking UFT. It's
Yeah.
like, bro, it's like, and then they rebranded it, so everyone that's like that has University of Ontario Institute of Technology on their degree, like now has to like explain to them, no, it was UOIT. Now it's Ontario Tech. It's like TMU and Ryerson right now. Like
Yeah,
it used to
yeah.
be called Ryerson. Everyone was fine with that name, and now they call it like Toronto Metropolitan
Yeah.
University or some shit. I don't know what's going
Yeah.
on.
My girlfriend got her undergrad from Ryerson. It says
We still call it Ryerson. Fuck it, bro. Like
Yeah, their search and her
TMU, bro.
transcripts. That says Ryerson, but yeah, yeah. Anyways, yeah. Sorry, where were we?
Yeah,
Yeah.
so
So
yeah, back in 2012, you used a
Ruby on Rails.
built on
Yes.
Ruby on Rails.
Yeah. The Ruby on Rails was a very capable stack. That's what Twitter was built on.
Oh, on Ruby.
Yeah, Twitter was built on Ruby on Rails. GitLab is still built on. They're still using Ruby on Rails. It's a very powerful framework. Ruby itself, it's old now. It's kind of slow. Like the Ruby virtual machine is, it's a compiled language.
Is it like
pretty
all
slow.
enclosed like Java is, where you could just like have everything enclosed in that one thing? Is that like Ruby, or I haven't used Ruby before?
No, Ruby is kind of more like Python.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you gotta. It's this interpret language. So you got to pick a JVM, or they call it RVM, I think, and yeah, it compiles to other languages, host to machine code, and then that's how you run it. Ruby has a really beautiful syntax, kind of like Python or Mojo. Mojo is like the new Python.
Okay. I haven't heard of
Yeah,
that. Like, is
yeah.
everyone using that? Is that like the new like next toy?
Mojo is basically it is just the same syntax as Python, but you do matrix multiplication differently in a hardware level with the Mojo's compiler. So what it does is, okay, so like if you go into like the core of computing, pretty much everything is just matrix multiplication, right? And that's how a lot of matrix operation, a lot of matrix operation, like transpose, dispose, like a lot of those calculus concepts. That's what's happening underneath when you're like training a model, doing like machine learning or artificial intelligence, right?
We didn't take that, right? We took like that matrix, matrix calculus back in like
Linear,
first year. Yeah, linear
yeah, linear
algebra. Yeah,
algebra.
yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah.
Oh
So
my
linear
god, that shit was
algebra.
annoying.
Yeah, so linear algebra is basically what's happening. So all the, like if you look at TensorFlow or scikit-learn or all these uh, libraries that are used for machine learning and deep learning. So they do a lot of these like matrix multiplication, right? And Mojo at its core, and again, like a lot of this stuff is over my head, but Mojo at its core, it runs parallel in the processor and CPU and GPU, so it actually is more performant than Python. So they basically solved the performance problem that Python had, and also made it capable so you can run like a CUDA type of hardware and all that stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I know even
And
for server side now, everyone's using like Golang, because like for like the speed of computation, like you can like work really quickly with Golang, and it's like all it's kind of abstracted out. Like you know how C++ was like heavily syntax based and shit like that. Golang is like they tried simplifying it, you know, but it's still like it feels the same as C++ in a way.
yeah.
Yeah.
It depends on like what you're trying to do. At the end, these programming languages are kind of a distraction in my mind, because as creators, entrepreneurs, we're trying to get a product out from as quickly as possible from 0 to 1 state, right? Golang is very good for concurrency, right?
Yeah.
And if you have millions of users, if you have millions of socket connections, Golang is amazing. But then if you have a real-time application, I would much rather use something like Elixir, because it's functional, millions of sockets. Again, it depends on like choosing the right tool for the job. And for most of the jobs right now, I would say the right tool is something much more simpler.
Yeah.
And it could be like, JavaScript, PHP. PHP is
PHP, I don't even like people use it sometimes. I remember I showed you like I did an interview like a long time ago where like I did a code challenge and some dude just like corrected my PHP and just shat on me in the video fucking review. And I'm like, yo, it wasn't that bad, but like yeah, like the solution's always simple. Like just use like JavaScript, use SQL as your database. Like and then I built something recently where I used Prisma to like map the data back to SQL.
Yeah, you shouldn't use. I really hate ORMs.
ORMs.
Like you shouldn't use Prisma or any of those ORMs. Like just use Micro or something like that. Just use raw SQL, like because you can do like CT statements. You can do recursion and a lot of this other stuff in SQL. SQL is nice. SQL is nice. We were very close implementing like a SQL plus with Fauna, where we were just like able
that in the
to.
video?
Huh? No, you can have that on the video. Just so SQL is great. SQL is nice. It can't do like it is not a full-fledged programming language. It's much simpler. You can have like UDFs on Postgres, stored procedures on MySQL. Database engineering gets really complicated when you have a lot of users, right? And then you have to, like, if you have multi-region payload, you have to shard, you have to be ACID compliant. So that's when database management engineering gets really complex. But for simple use cases, I would say like, it's good.
So walk us through real quick. So your journey from UIT, I know you dropped out partially, and then you came back into school after, and then like, so what was that whole thing about? Like, so you started with, I think I was with you up till second year, until you got your internship at IBM, right?
Yeah, I got my internship at IBM. I was working on Couchbase, That's a database as well.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Couchbase. What the fuck? I've never
Couchbase.
heard of that.
Yeah, IBM Analytics. I was working on some of
Okay.
that.
Is that their
Um,
own in-house database, like Couchbase?
no, Couchbase is a real thing. You can.
Who thought of these names, bro? We got like Golang, like Ruby on Rails, like Couchbase. I know Java and JavaScript were just named after coffee. This guy named
Yeah.
his database after his couch, bro.
There used to be Coffee Script as well.
Oh my god, bro. Dude, there should be a
Yeah.
Tim Hortons script, bro. There should be for like Starbucks.
Yeah. Speaking of Tim Hortons scripts, you know who built the backend for all the Tim Hortons apps and like
Oh, that was
their
you,
roll up
right?
their
Yeah. I remember
That
when
was
Tim
me.
Hortons app came out. You're like, oh, okay, look at this right now. I built this Tim Hortons. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
That
That was 2019. That's when
Yeah,
I
that was like
on.
peak COVID. Yeah, like I remember, yeah, you were still going at it. You were still like in the trenches, like writing code and shit, and like doing
Yeah.
gigs. Like you had a bunch of gigs going on.
Yeah. I nowadays I'm mostly like learning and yeah. I got accepted to Stanford, so I'm thinking of going.
For like a
but-
master's or a PhD or something.
No, just like a master's program, pretty much.
Ah, okay.
Yeah.
You just want to like sharpen. Like what kind of thing are you going to be doing there if you were to go?
I haven't. So it's a very generalist type of course, like a generalist type of master's. It's not a. It's a coursework master's. It's not a thesis master.
Okay.
So,
That.
I would love to do paper. It's just I just don't think I am smart enough, and I
Oh, you have
just
to
don't
dive
think.
in and just do like research and all that, like R&D.
Yeah.
Like, oh my gosh, yeah. That sounds like really, really intense. Yeah.
Yeah, and like I love doing. I love doing like AI type of stuff right now, like a machine learning or like a stats or computational mathematics. Right now, I've been reading up a lot on those. I also been reading up on how quantum computers work.
Okay.
So right now, like you can just go sign up for IBM, and you actually can, from your terminal connect to a quantum computer and program some code. It's fascinating, man. Yeah, this is gonna be a whole ass. If I dive into quantum computers and parallel universes and realities right now, you're gonna think I'm crazy. You're gonna think, oh wow, this
This guy can
podcast
see
is
the
going.
future. Yeah.
Yeah, this is going Joe Rogan direction, like but I mean, if you want, I can dive into it.
Dive into it. Let's go.
Dive into it.
Yeah.
Okay. All
Okay.
right.
So like, take us from like beginner to like what you're at now. So like, if someone's never heard of quantum computing, like,
Yeah.
and all that kind of stuff, like, how would you describe it to a beginner?
Yeah, so we have to start from scratch, right? So let's say, what are computers? And again, these things are not very practical. Like if you're just trying to get a job, but I'm just gonna rant here anyways.
Rant.
Uh,
We got time.
so basically, computers are basically. Have you seen the Imitation Game from with Alan Turing?
Yeah. I've seen that.
Benedict Cumberbatch, yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, like computers basically got invented because they were trying to crack this code, right? And okay, so even before we go there, we have to think of like what is the simplest unit of computation, and that is a transistor, and you know better about 10 transistors than I do, right? And you put like these 8 transistors together and you get like an 8-bit system. So every time a transistor is on, it's 1. Every time a transistor is off, it's 0. Put these zeros and ones together, you put a bunch of transistors together, put them into into a chip. Like back in the days, they would put them into a board. And then transistors obviously became smaller. Now we have like billions of transistors in a chip. And they basically just store information, and at the very bottom level, it's still zeros and ones that are getting stored, and you're just transferring the informations. Right? So you basically get to a state 0 or 1. It's binary system, right?
Yeah.
And on top of that, we built programming languages, we built like higher level programming languages, and we're writing code that is in a more human understandable way, but it's compiling down to zeros and ones, and it's just how the computer is storing information and doing basic calculation with a base two system.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's how it works. But in a quantum computer, you instead of bits, so those zeros and ones, they're called bit. So instead of bit, you get a qubit. Okay?
Oh yeah, I've heard that. Yeah.
Yeah, a qubit is actually, so here's the thing. So you have to understand quantum mechanics a little bit. So in quantum mechanics, we have this thing called Schrodinger's equation, right? So basically, a Schrodinger's equation tells you that you don't really know where an electron is or what its spin is.
Yeah, because it's in a cloud, and it could be anywhere in that cloud.
It could be anywhere in that cloud, but we kind of have that equation that kind of tells you that yes, this is how it's going to behave. But until you see it, like until you can't see it obviously, but until you observe it with instruments, it could be, it could be either up or down spin, okay? And the double slit experiment is kind of like that, like either a particle could go right or left. So before you observe it, the equation that describes the behavior is called the superposition. That's the Schrodinger's equation that has a superposition. So in a superposition, the thing could be in any place. Right?
Anywhere but nowhere. Yeah.
Anyway, yeah, it could be in anywhere. And on Joe Rogan Ferk, professor, he's a professor of MIT. He describes it very well. I'm doing a bad job, but in a quantum processor, in a quantum qubit, you put these electrons into you put like nitrogen, like you cool it down and put these electrons into a superposition, right? And based on that superposition, you have these algorithms that can calculate different probabilities. Now we don't know how it works exactly, but if you plug in an equation, and this equation could be like an infinitely large equation, but it will give you the absolute probability. So let's say in a classical computer, let's say you have a hash password, and that will take you, even the fastest computer, that may take you like 100 years to crack. But once you put it in a quantum equation in quantum computer, the time the quantum equation collapses, it gives you the exact password. Now we don't know. Again, we don't know why it works. So one of the possible explanations from physics and string theory is the moment the quantum equation collapses, the equation exists in superposition, that thing exists in parallel universes. And when the quantum equation collapses, computer is giving you the output that is only true in this universe, which is fucking mind-blowing. And that's how quantum computers kind of work. And then I was just learning about it, and there are a couple different equations and things like that have read. Yeah, I can share some of that.
Yeah.
But yeah,
like falling along up to 70%, because like some of that is going a bit over my head. Like I get up to the point of where you go to the concept of Schrodinger's and the superposition, and then the part where you're talking about the parallel universes and it collapsing to one true equation. I guess I'd have to research that a bit more. Yeah, like my interests are, I'm like slowly starting to lean towards like cryptography and just like encryption, password encryption, and stuff like that. So like that's gonna be my next like rabbit hole I'm gonna dive down. You know?
It's interesting, man. This all this stuff is really interesting, and I wish I wish I had more time in life.
Exactly.
I could like really like learn about these things and learn about hardware. There's a lot of things.
What I noticed like after we left UIT is like we were there in the beginning because we had to be to get jobs and all that other shit, right? But like once you actually like work in the field and you start to figure out like where you want to be in engineering and like what kind of path you want to take, and then now it's like you want to learn because you actually want to understand how things work not to get a mark or to get a job or to get some pay. Like it's actually a genuine interest in that in the topic. But then you notice as well, like as you get older, it's like fuck, I have no time. I have to like do shit during the day. Like your mom might be sick one day. You gotta walk your dog. You gotta like go tend to your girl, and like all of a sudden maybe you might have 2 or 3 hours a day where you could spend and learn shit. And like anything could like any little thing could steal those hours. So like you have to kind of pour in that time whenever you get it into that interest that you have.
Yeah, man. Yeah. That's why I think we should get those Neuralink transplants, you know. Help us learn
Speed
better.
up.
I don't know. ChatGPT.
If it worked, like yo, I wouldn't be opposed to it. Like maybe let a few people do the test run, and then
I'll get the 8th version. You know, I know Joe Rogan.
I'll get it after you get it. You know, we'll play it like that. I'll get it after you get it.
Yeah,
if I see
I'll get
Shadid, like walking straight, like talking like a regular person. All right, maybe I might invest in one of them. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, dude. By the way, if you're interested in like computer hardware, AI, I highly recommend you watch George Hotz and Lex Friedman talking about it. They got 3 episodes. Each of them are like 4 hours long. They're just fucking talking about this stuff. But boy, like these things are just like they're gold mines of information.
Yeah. The easiest way to learn is just from other people that know things, right? It's like you kind of shortcut your path by just like taking knowledge that someone that's already figured it out has like walked that path and like gone through it, rather than like starting from scratch with a book and then reading a portion of the book, and now you're like 3 weeks down, you forgot what you read in the first chapter. It's like, all right, let's just learn from this dude. And like you pick your expert in the field and then follow them, I guess. That's what I've been doing so far. Like even for backend, I joined this platform called Boot Dev, and then they just have a bunch of like experienced backend devs that just like put you through like an intense like set of modules, and then you just train backend. Like you learn Python, then you learn algorithms, then you learn like how to use SQL, how to make artifacts on like with Docker and stuff like that. So it's like I'm taking that approach now, yeah. So like I might look into that. I might look into these podcasts like when I get a chance. Right now I'm straight up just in that skill building portion where I just have to like set time aside and maybe an hour, 2 hours, maybe 3 hours if I have the time a day, and just like go at it, you know, and build stuff. Like the important. I know you were one of the more hands-on guys. Like I know you built a few apps like back in the day as well. I know you had some like food app you were building like back in COVID.
Yeah. That's we raised some money initially. It didn't do as good, and so we just sold it to Yelp pretty much. Like sold the proprietary algorithm, search algorithm. Yeah.
That's kind of how it goes, right? You got to build a bunch of shit. Some of it works, some of it sticks, some of it a lot of it doesn't stick. But like you keep the skills you gained even though it didn't stick, right? So like let's say you didn't know how to make a for loop or some shit just for like simplicity. Like after that project one, now you can use your knowledge for the next project or something like that.
Yeah, absolutely. It's I learned a lot just by building that, and that's another thing, you know. Learning from video courses is good. It's great. But unless you build projects, you're not gonna know everything. Yeah.
I know back in my last company, they had like a bunch of holiday time during Christmas, so they gave us the week off, and I had like a bunch of days off because of it was around Christmas time, and like everyone was taking off those days, and I basically spent like 2 weeks building my Google Chrome extension for just tracking internet usage, like the time you spend online, and it puts like a live feed on a bar graph. So like all it used was JavaScript, HTML, CSS, and it was like permissions from Google Chrome online. But like I thought it would take a week to just to get one website, and it took a fucking month. It took a full month because I'm like, you need one line that's a permission, but like even if you go to ChatGPT, it's giving you like information that's outdated because that's looking at some old code base and like that's now expired. So now you have to dig through blogs, then you have to dig through articles, videos, some
Yeah.
other people's projects. You have to go to other repositories and like figure out what's working there and like take pieces of like different projects and like make it work for your project.
Yeah.
Like yeah, once you get that like your hands dirty in the trenches, like that's where I probably learned the most shit. It's like when I built my own stuff from scratch. Because yeah, the video courses are nice, and
Mhm.
like they're marketed really well to show you that hey, you can get all this, but it's like it doesn't really help because like most of the shit you forget it unless you actually like
Yeah.
use it, unless you're actually like using it. Like
That's my problem with video courses, and yeah, I'm saying this while I have my video courses out.
I know, right?
Yeah, but yeah, my video courses are short and free, so like I don't do it to make money usually. It's more like content, so I get exposed to opportunities. But that has been my example. My frustrations with video courses, and I started learning from video courses like since the Ruby on Rails
Yeah.
time, and there were Laracast that was just doing Laravel PHP for backend. Docker just came out at that time, like 2012, 2013, and I had a guy in UIT, Ontario Tech, second year guy, and we were working downtown,
Is that you?
and no, some white dude, I forgot his name. It's like Steven something.
Oh, never mind. Okay. Okay.
Yeah. And he was like, he like, me and him, we spent, I think, at least $500 on like different courses, and we were sharing courses, but still, man, like it was, video courses are nice, but they're marketed in a really well organized way, but I don't think they help as much.
That's where
Again,
they call it tutorial hell. It's
Yeah.
like where you keep taking tutorials and tutorials and tutorials and like you don't get any better at a certain point. You actually have to like fucking build something and like put it out there on like GitHub and like get people to use it, get people to shit on you, like for the
Yeah.
parts that like that aren't worth it. And then like you have to be like, okay, maybe my design needs another look. Maybe I
Yeah.
might need to start again. Sometimes you might have to like tear apart all your shit and start again. Like when I was building my Pokemon app, like I had an idea of what I wanted. None of it worked. And then I was using ChatGPT, and then I got into this reliance on it for the first part. So I got too reliant on it, and I was like, all right, this isn't even what I'm trying to build in the first place. So I just ended up starting from scratch and building it again. But like I kept all the lessons, right? Now I know how to use React. Now I know how to use like hooks. Now I know how to manage state and stuff like that, right?
Yeah.
Stuff like that, the small stuff. What would you say like to? So a lot of developers are like, and even me, I was in this situation as well. It's like, how do you figure out what to build? If like a lot of people are overwhelmed with all the options online, and they're just like, yo, what the fuck do I build? Like I know a bit of JavaScript, but like where do I go from here? What would you say?
That's a very good question. It depends on like where you want to go in life, right? So let's say if you want to become a UI developer, first of all, like go on, do some job searching and look like what type of developer you actually want to be, or what it is your interest, right? Like otherwise it's gonna be dreadful, So for example, if you like doing UI, UX, UI, just go learn the most common framework. Learn about JavaScript from ground up, and learn the most common framework, like something like React, Svelte,
React is
React.
really good to use. Yeah.
Yeah, and learn a little bit about like single page application, React Router, Next.js, maybe server side rendering. And once you have that, once you have a pretty good understanding of like how UI, UX work, build something that you would want to use. Like, build something that interests you. Maybe you really like bikes and you want to create like a Google Map pin Google Mac pins that can you can click on and share different bike paths with other people. Yeah, it doesn't have to be crazy. Like I think I created an application called Message in a Bottle where you just write a message, send it into the interwebs, and some other people can actually get your message, and then they can, some another part of the world, they can get your message and they can send message back and forth. So that's something I did, and I met a girl in the Philippines
Oh, nice.
on my own app. So so those are all like good ideas. Like think about what you want to do, what interests you. Like for example, like I really like hugs. So I can just like if I was a new guy, like I would just create a hug picture sharing site, just like 4chan. It doesn't have to be serious.
I remember you gave me that challenge, the meme generator. That was like my first web dev project that I built from scratch.
The meme generator.
It was all just JavaScript, HTML, CSS. That's it. No back end, nothing. It was just like a pure front end app, and it was fun. It had no memory. It couldn't retain info, but like it did what I needed it to do. Right, like it spat out info. I had my little window where I'd take like a Naruto picture or some shit, and then like I'd add my words to it.
Yeah, absolutely. So like I'm trying to learn everything about AI right now. Like I'm watching all the Andrew Yu videos on AI. So there's like 3 courses for supervised and unsupervised learning, linear regression. So I went through all of it in a week, actually, like all 3 courses. And these are actually semester. These are heavy materials. And then I tried building something with it. Like I'm trying to use the world happiness index data set to actually do some regression model.
Okay.
And I'm like, what the fuck? this is hard. Like once you start building things, you're gonna see that there are gaps in your knowledge, and you don't know. Like you don't know what's going on. You don't know how to do. So for me, I don't know what's going on with the gradient descent algorithm. So I look at it and I'm like, fuck, I don't know what's going on.
Exactly. Once you go through it, I'm gonna be like, yo, Shadid, man, what's the roadmap for AI? Because I'm gonna learn it off you or something,
the roadmap is posted on my newsletter, actually.
Oh yeah. What's your newsletter?
Shadid at shadid.substack.com.
True. Also, so going back to the project thing, so like once you figure out projects, like let's say you're not from a traditional developer background. So let's say you don't have a computer science degree, you don't have an engineering degree, and you just want to get into the tech space. You want to become a developer, a full-time software developer, like maybe intermediate level.
Mm-hmm.
How would you get from A to B? Once, like, let's say you know how to build a basic project.
Mm-hmm. To be fair, right now, times are hard. There's not enough. There's not enough dev jobs, and becoming like a software developer, front end or full stack developer is getting harder if you do not have like a tech background, like a STEM background, I would say.
An advanced,
Now that being said, like it's still doable. Economy is recovering every quarter. I would say learn in public, share those projects in public, and just ask people, man. Just apply to jobs, ask people to give you a shot, pretty much. The market is competitive. It's very competitive, and everybody's kind of feeling the burn. So
I agree with that. Like the approach I kind of took was because I'm more from a classical electrical background.
Mm-hmm.
So like when I was going in, I kind of used that as like leverage for like the jobs that I applied for. So anything with overlap with where I already knew.
Mm-hmm.
That way I still had like, it's not like I can't do anything, right? I could still do stuff and I could do a bit of this.
Yeah.
So it's like, give me a shot now. And then you just apply to a bunch of places and the
Yeah, it's
personal
easier
values.
it's easier for like STEM people. Like, it's easier for us because we already have like a lot of the tech background, like a technical background. And when I say technical background, it's like math, like
Yeah.
simple grade 12 math. If you haven't done grade 12 functions, it's kind of hard to learn programming. And I know there's a lot of people out there in boot camp, they're telling you this and that, like, oh, even though it's not,
They're trying to
you
sell you
know,
on the front end dream.
yeah, they're
Which is
trying to sell you
bullshit.
on the
Yeah.
dream. Like, here's the thing. Like, everybody I know, including my girlfriend, she has a chemical engineering degree. It was really easy for her to pick up programming.
Yeah.
But
It's
I also
logical.
know, yeah, I also have a friend. She's a PhD student now, but she did like biology, nutrition type of courses, and it's extremely hard for her because she just doesn't have like she never took grade 12 advanced functions.
I'd say if you
It's
can do
just-
linear algebra, you're good. Like
Yeah.
that was one of the more annoying courses. They only made us go to like 3x3 matrices. I think maybe on the exam they had like a trick question. Remember, like I think you might have had Paula, I had like Mihai, and like yeah, they had like a 4x4, but they had a defined solution because it had one of those things where it's like all zeros and then you can like split through.
Yeah, and again, like you can learn these things, like just go to MIT,
It's free.
open courseware. It's free. It's everything. Education is free, guys. Like, you don't have to pay shit. You don't have to pay.
You're mainly paying for the fucking certification. You're not actually like paying for knowledge. Right?
Yeah,
you can get knowledge for free anywhere.
You pay for your internet bill. Like you can just not have the certificate. Like you could use everything is free, guys. So like brush up these like basic knowledge a little bit. This will help you like in life. And the earlier you start, it's better. Like it's extremely. I'm not gonna lie. It's extremely hard. Like I'm pushing 30 now. It's extremely hard for me.
You're like 2 years older than me, right? Or 3?
to.
2.
So yeah, it's extremely hard for me to learn, the new concepts like transformer architecture. But if I were to start in like when I was 21 and I was just getting into deep learning, it would be a lot easier for me. I would be a lot more scrappy. I would have much more energy.
I'd say like it's like also an interest thing, right? Like back when I was 21, I didn't really give a shit about like school. I just wanted to like play sports. I wanted to like go out, like have fun, and like now that I'm like older and I'm kind of going back into the learning and like tech is changing rapidly, I'm like actually enjoying the learning process.
Yeah,
It's
absolutely.
I actually kind of want to go back. I kind of miss school,
Yeah, and like going out and having fun is also a learning experience, right?
Yeah.
Like it's
Being
you're
social.
learning social experience, right? So that's also important.
Yeah.
Like you may think like, oh, I was just fucking around, but I miss those days. Like I wish I went out more.
Like
I
doing
wish I
games?
was. Yeah, man. I wish I did.
That's why I
more
did the
of
club
those.
promo this year. I was just like, yo, let's just see like how far I could push this thing, like myself socially. So it's just like just approaching strangers over and over and over for like 6 months in a row. It was like a hardcore boot camp of like life. It's like a life boot camp. It was like you're just in the trenches, and people either like be receptive to you, and they're like, "Oh shit, you're a promoter. Oh shit, where you promoting at? Can I come to your table? Can I come this?" Some people are just like, "Nah, fuck you, get out of my face."
Yeah.
And it's like, oh shit, you got to deal with that too.
Yeah.
Like it's
That's what I was doing when I was taking dancing lessons.
oh salsa
just-
bachata.
Yeah, salsa. I would just go ask random girls, like, hey, do you want to dance?
Yeah.
And then they'd be skeptical, and then I actually learned a lot of moves. So, and then they would just go
You
dance.
did it
and
for a
be
while
like,
too,
"Oh,
right?
yeah."
For like 2 years, right? Almost.
Yeah, I still do it sometimes.
Oh, nice. You got
Fun.
the-
Yeah, and just sweep them off their floor, and then they'll be like, oh wow, you're actually good.
Are there levels
yeah.
to it? There's like level 2, level 3, and like salsa bachata and stuff, or
Yeah, I think there's different styles too. Like there's linear, there's Cuban, there's Colombian. Yeah, there's different flavors.
which one did you know?
I know most. I know very well Cuban. Because I've been to Cuba. By the way, I don't know. That's for a different conversation.
All right.
I'll tell
We'll
you
save that
something
one.
that
We'll
happened.
save that one. All right. All right.
Yeah, I'll tell you something that happened to me in Cuba. Yeah, it's interesting. Okay, man. So yeah, I gotta go. I gotta run in like 3 minutes. I have a call scheduled.
Oh yeah,
But
for sure, man. Like I appreciate you coming out. Like you're one of the guys I would consider a 10x engineer slash developer. So
zero
it's
X.
like this would be really good for anyone that just wants to get some insight from someone at your level. So yeah, I appreciate you coming out, man. Thank you, Shadid.
Yeah,
See
yeah,
ya.
man. Take care. Bye.
Peace.